I am Thuy Chung, the host of this series. Today, in this episode, Professor Tobias Viere provides some insights into the diffusion of material flow cost accounting in Germany. Professor Tobias Viere is a full professor for energy and material flow analysis at the Institute for Industrial Ecology at Fordham University, Germany. He has a wealth of experience in teaching and research on material flow cost accounting, life cycle assessment, and sustainability. Also, he is a reviewer of many high-ranking journals such as Accounting, Auditing, and Accountability Journal, Journal of Cleaner Production. Previously, he worked at a German software company for eco-balancing, IFU Hamburg. He is also a member of the ISO International Expert Working Group on Material Flow Cost Accounting. Thank you very much for joining us today, Professor Tobias Viere. It is my pleasure to have you in this episode.
Thanks a lot for the invitation and for the introduction. So I look forward to this interview or this talk, Thuy.
As you know, material flow cost accounting (MFCA) originated in Germany. How do you evaluate the current level of MFCA diffusion in Germany?
Honestly speaking, I really don't know. It could be better, I guess. No, actually, there are not too many companies that actively state we do MFCA. This is not so surprising, though. MFCA is for internal decision making, and it helps to identify inefficiencies. So there are definitely many companies that do that and that use material flow cost thinking, as I would call it, meaning that they understand the need to eliminate as much material loss as possible, which does not only imply the wastage of the material purchasing cost, but also things like additional storage or processing costs, longer machine hours, and so forth. But they do that, but they don't necessarily call it material flow cost accounting, or they don't make it public. So it's difficult to get good statistics on the progress of MFCA in Germany.
Let's talk about your practical experience. You worked at the IFU Hamburg, where you were head of research consulting, coordinating many practice-based collaborative projects on material flow cost accounting. In your opinion, what are enablers of and barriers to MFCA application in Germany that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, my work in Hamburg took place quite some years ago, but I still remember some interesting experience from that time. But also at Fordham University, I still work on material flow cost accounting. So one thing that is consistent throughout all the years is that one of the barriers is that enterprise resource planning systems, so the IT systems used in companies to track their performance of production and so forth, that these systems do not always provide adequate physical data that you need for material flow cost accounting. So kilograms, kilowatt hours, things like that is not often found in these systems in a consistent way. So that is a big barrier. Another one that is that many companies actually lack expertise, so they just don't know about the concept. And I'm not sure if it's a barrier, but one has to be aware that material flow cost accounting is providing a theoretical result only in the first place. So it is just the result of a computation. It tells you how much you could hypothetically save if you have no waste anymore. And so you have to then translate that into actual measures. So you have to find resource and energy efficiency measures that do actually lead to the reduction of inefficiencies. And that is sometimes another hurdle. On the other side, there are also enablers. And I think in recent years, the awareness for scarce resources, for rising energy costs, for rising material costs, also due to the fight against climate change, perhaps, and due to the need for more circularity. So these are all things that support the idea of material flow cost accounting.
Could you please provide us an example to illustrate enablers of and barriers to MFCA application of a specific company in Germany?
Well, yes, maybe I can even mention several examples, but I could limit it perhaps to two. So one example which I really liked, and I cannot name the company for confidentiality reasons, was a medical equipment producer, and they sell premium products at very high prices. So for them, material and energy costs were not such an urgent concern. But a student of mine, he did a material flow cost accounting study there, and he found quite high material losses, which were like comparable to one engineer's salary per year. And he really had to do a lot of data gathering and data mining to get to his results. And then when he finally presented the results, the quality manager just said that this is unavoidable, this material loss, to ensure the high quality of the product, so they cannot do anything about it. However, and luckily, one other engineer then suggested a solution that was discussed in the past, but at that time dismissed. And now, knowing exactly about the potential savings, that idea turned out to be feasible. So at the end, this was really a success story, but it also shows that material flow cost accounting needs a lot or a high level of technical expertise within the companies to find perfect solutions to actually reduce the waste-induced costs or the material losses. And the other example is perhaps a bit easier. It's a food processing plant that I once worked with, and they processed meat, and then they sliced the meat into, or cut the meat into slices. And they the machines they used every 50 centimeters, it had to stop, and then a little leftover had to be wasted. And I asked, why is it that it's only 50 centimeters, and then already you have to waste 2 or 3 centimeters of the processed waste? And actually, this is just a question of awareness. Nobody saw that or anticipated that to be a problem before I asked. And then they discussed, and they managed to increase that length before they have to cut to 1 meter. So they halved the waste just by thinking about a problem they didn't think about before.
Thank you so much. Your example is very insightful and practical, I would say. As far as I know, you are a member of the ISO International Expert Working Group on Material Flow Cost Accounting. Could you please share with us the purpose of this group and what are your roles as a member of this group?
Yeah, well, at least I used to be a member. Currently, my impression is there's not much going on. So Japan has been very active in material flow cost accounting, and they have been a driving force of standardizing material flow cost accounting globally, and thereby also to contribute to its dissemination. And at the time when I was very active, I brought in my practical experience, like the examples I gave you beforehand, but also some thoughts on important methodological aspects, etc. So that was basically serving as an expert, really, and providing some insights into that standardization body.
Thank you for your sharing. MFCA has been standardized in ISO 14051, 14052, and 14053. However, many companies have not applied these standards in practice. Is this because they are voluntary and companies are unable to enhance their corporate brands by applying the standards? What do you think?
Well, first of all, I think it's a very good question. So thank you for that. Let me think about it. I think there are several reasons. So Firstly, I would say the standards are not meant to be used for official certification. So that's different, for instance, from ISO 14001, which is the environmental management system standard. And because it's not meant to be used for official certification, maybe it's less appealing to some companies. You cannot put a fancy news on your website saying we are doing MFCA according to ISO 1451 or something like that. So that might be one reason. So companies might ask, why should I do that? As a company, should I follow a specific standard? After all, material flow cost accounting is for internal decision making, and it helps me to increase my own resource efficiency. So the companies might do it, but do not necessarily claim that they do it according to a certain standard. And then even if they follow the ISO guideline, maybe they don't want their competitors to know exactly what type of improvement potentials they have detected. So the MFCA is really a tool that is not meant for the outside world in the first place. It's a lot about also internal improvement. I mean, this could probably change if large multinational companies or even governments request the conduct of MFCA. So if it becomes obligatory because your customer says he wants you to conduct material flow cost accounting. My impression is it's not likely to happen rather soon, but let's see and wait. On the other side, also, I would say that ISO 1451 is really, really useful. I have some mixed feelings concerning the other two standards that you mentioned, 1452 and 1453. They are correct, there's nothing wrong, but my personal opinion is that everything you need is already in 1451. So you don't necessarily have to follow all these different standards.
Before ending this episode, I would like to ask you the last question. What do you think about the future MFCA application in Germany and beyond?
But currently, what I think is a very positive development in the whole corporate world and business world is that companies start to take the whole issue of climate change and carbon neutrality, but also circular economy very serious. And so sooner or later, I hope more sooner than later, material and resource efficiency will be high on the agenda to reduce, for instance, their carbon footprint or to increase their circularity. That way, I think that we will also see an uptake of methods like material flow cost accounting and a need for more experts in that field. So I think there will be there will be a higher need for MFCA application in Germany in the future, and a higher need also for life cycle thinking and circular economy thinking as well. So the whole subject of what you could call applied industrial ecology will gain importance. And from my perspective, of course, obviously, this is a good thing.
Many thanks for joining us today, Professor Tobias Viere. I enjoyed a lot talking with you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for talking to me about these important issues.
Thanks again for your inspiring talk. In the next episode, we will meet two leading experts in the field of material flow cost accounting. They will share with us MFCA application in Japan. I'm really excited to talking with them. See you in the next episode.